What a pleasure to be part of this panel and moderating this panel. We are saying building value-based organization and balancing employee well-being. Is the statement right? Is the statement saying building value-based organization to take care of employee well-being the right topic to have? I mean, this has to be part of your purpose. This has to be core purpose of any organization. How can you say if I build a great organization, become well-being? Your organization exists because you want to do something which is well-being. I must share this with you. I was in a panel somewhere, but not on the dais and sitting across, and somebody was interviewing Mr. Ratan Tata and say, you are into so many businesses, hundreds and thousands of businesses. How do you decide which business to get in? The statement he made was, we just get into deciding what's good for the community is good for us. I mean, it was so simple, such a simple statement. What's good for the community is good for us. So if you're not doing a business what is good for the people, then what is the point of having the business? Then you can create any amount of vision, mission, values, and have a huge statement behind the receptionist, which only visitors see because most people enter from the staff entry. Yeah, so you don't even see what you're, I mean, I'm just trying to joke. Yeah. So my first question to the August panel is, how many of you really see purpose as different from vision, mission, values, and the various things that we write for our organization? And because we just have 25 minutes time, so I will not go to each one of you. Okay, we'll keep moving on the subjects. So any one of you who wants to pick up and talk about purpose?
Okay, maybe I'll take it.
Yeah.
So it is, there is not, I think purpose complements your vision, mission, statements in the organization. They go hand in hand. So when you talk about purpose, what is purpose? Something that inspires us, something that energizes us, right? And something that makes us alive. So when we talk from an organization context, the way we see, our vision statement, it is nothing but it is how you action your purpose. It's your vision statement is your purpose statement. It defines your purpose. So I would say purpose is something which is we feel, it's something is intangible, and your vision and mission statement, they translate it into action.
Let me add up to this. I also happened to get a chance to talk to Sadhguru, and I was asking him the same question. And you know how we define purpose is? He says, firstly, the purpose has to be much, much bigger. Is this also connected to me? No. Okay. Right. Maybe I thought if you come near the mic now, instead of the key song, you'll get some nice music for me to dance around. Yeah. He said, first of all, the purpose has to be larger than life. Your purpose should be such that you never achieve in your life. Okay, because your vision is all about we will do this. It's all about we. Okay, mission is all of, but purpose is about us. That's number one. Second, he also said this purpose has to be very inclusive. It cannot be exclusive for us. Okay, whereas vision and all is all organization. I want to be number one here, number two there, number three there. Yeah. So I just want you to go a little further and say, since our topic is about well-being, is there a way we can think of well-being of our employees, well-being of everybody as a part of purpose in the retail industry? Anybody wants to just comment on that? And then we'll get on to some questions around purpose and well-being and how we take the organization further.
Maybe I can share a little bit on
please
that.
go ahead.
And as an organization that's really new to India, and this was a question that I actually received by one of the participants in the audience today, saying, why is purpose, why is mission, vision, why is it so far away from everyone? I mean, is it achievable? And I really like, Mr. Nagesh, what you said, that when you talk about purpose, it has to be greater than an individual. I'm just taking the example of IKEA. 80 years ago, our founder wrote the purpose for us to create a better everyday life for the many people. It's not something that a human being can do, and it has to be something that it has to be a collective. The purpose tells what needs to be done, and then everything else tells you how. So if you have a guiding star, calling out to you, a North Star in that way, it cannot be achieved if you don't do it looking after each other and doing it together. So well-being is integral. It has to be done.
Wonderful.
It's non-negotiable.
Wonderful. In fact, Mukta, because you represent M&S and we know about the plan A and B and the sustainability part of it, purpose can also be outside just people. Your purpose can be around the planet, around the environment. Okay, so maybe to the audience, what I want the audience to actually see is that you talk about IKEA founders' definition of purpose statement. M&S maybe around environment, around sustainability. So actually when we look at purpose, we can do much bigger thinking than just us, our customers, our employees, our stakeholders, our shareholders. How do you look at the M&S, environment, ESG, sustainability as a big purpose?
Thank you for that question, Mr. Nagesh. And I was actually taking a cue from Parineeta, what she said. So we've also got a defined, stated purpose. And the purpose is very simple. It's make the everyday remarkable. But how do you make the everyday remarkable comes alive through 4 key pillars of our strategy or vision or whatever you call it. And sustainability is an integral part of that for us. And for us, so while of course there's product, service, and sustainability that form the key pillars, for us sustainability is about working within our communities and with our stakeholders to ensure you make a win-win environment for everybody. And this also includes employees. So health and well-being for us is such a critical part of sustaining, of sustainability, that all of that at the center of it lives making the everyday remarkable, and then comes across these pillars. And then really so you've got the why and the what, but the how also comes around it with, our values around it. So we simply call it the M&S way. That's really guiding our day-to-day actions. How do we bring our purpose to life and our strategy through the everyday actions that we demonstrate at workplace every single day? And culture is a combination of all of this coming to life together. It's really the glue that hangs, that holds all of it together. So today, if you drive a culture of silence, the well-being is the first thing that will get impacted.
I'll just pick from there. I was just looking into the dictionary to say, how do you define well-being? And it says healthy and happy. It's so simple, yeah? But then I was also looking at saying, is it just healthy and happy and what? And then you know how internet works on well-being, physical, emotional, financial, social, occupational, spiritual, intellectual, environmental well-being. The reason I'm taking these is that your well-being can be actually integrated into your purpose statement. I mean, it could be anything. I mean, so beautifully she put, and then it actually becomes a culture. You don't define a culture. Actually, culture is an outcome of the way you live your life. You know, you must have heard about this when sons go out, they'll say, बेटा बाहर जा रहा है खानदान का नाम रोशन करना. This is the culture, take it, okay? And बेटी बहू, I mean बाहर जा रही है, वो बोलते घर का नाम, घर का इज्जत रखना. I mean, again, this is the culture outcome is a statement, so that this is how we have actually looked at culture. So you don't say मेरे घर का culture ये होगा. I don't think when you go to a company and on the induction they say this is the culture. No, you don't say this is the culture. You understand the culture, the way it actually you start seeing people behaving and the way things happen. So that's beautiful in terms of the purpose. If we start looking, going a little deeper into the thinking, now should values be driven towards the purpose, or should values be the behavior within the organization? So any one of you pick up, maybe lucky you can pick up Venkat, and say, take any value that you have in the organization. Could be written, could be stated, or could be just everybody knows about it. And just talk about it, saying how that value helps you in well-being of your organization, of your people, and how it helps build a fantastic culture.
See, as far as values are concerned, there are 2 types of values. One is a core value and one is a non-core values. So core values, they don't change. It's not static. And it is something which is a guiding principle, I can say a blueprint of the organization, which guides the workforce, which guides the employee, the way they should behave, the way they should cooperate, the way they should actually take forward the entire goals of the company, the objectives of the company. As far as values are concerned, culture, value, they're all very interlinked. Like, in this current day and age, today you can outsource so many things, services, payroll. Can someone outsource culture? Seldom one can outsource culture.
Just hold on for a second. Is there any organization, there are so many service providers, any service provider who is willing to get culture outsourced? They're saying you can't outsource culture. Somebody should get up and say, no, I have a business, I can take on culture. You're absolutely right. Nobody wants to take business opportunity lost.
Seldom we can. So this is something that needs to be built within, and it can be built in step by step. And employee well-being becomes very important. And one of the core principles, like, where you cannot compromise, like in our company. So I am from Jeena Company. We are into global logistics, and we closely work with retail in terms of doing their warehousing and in terms of imports. And I realized that, when we are actually concerned with the employee well-being, it takes in a long run. During this pandemic, we had seen that, a lot of well-being initiative that we have taken, and for that matter, that helped, and it binded employees to a great extent. We have more than 50% population which is more than 10 years old.
Wow.
So that speaks about the culture.
Yeah, wonderful. I was looking at Venkat and then looking at Preeti, and one of the cultures of Skechers and Nike and Puma is that all their employees get a new shoe every week. Look at the shoe, it is shining, a white shoe with not a speck of dust. Same thing as Rahul is hiding it, but I have seen Rahul, Veera, I have seen all these guys.
Nagesh, we have a technique of cleaning our shoes.
Oh, please teach us the technique of cleaning our shoes, yeah. No, I'm just saying, just imagine if the culture is that. I would like to join Puma for a week, and get a pair of shoes for myself. No, yeah, sorry.
So, since we had been discussing values and culture, and just wanted to put it across. So, in Reliance, we have 6 values, and just to give, and I will be really crisp because I know the watch is running and we have 30 minutes. So we have 6 values, and I'll give you example of couple of values. So we have a value of ownership mindset, and I'm not too old in Reliance. I am 15 months young in Reliance, and that ownership mindset, it's a value, but it's actually not the value. It's a culture in Reliance, and we live every day. I don't work in HR. I work as a business partner, as a CEO, and I feel that I'm building a new business for the Reliance, and that's the kind of, and each one of has that a mindset in the team. And just to tell you that we have built in last 12 months, we have built a team of 11,000 people, and that's the culture we have. And I'm building my own business. It's that. So that's one thing. Second thing, again, you were mentioning that 500 store, 1,000 store, 10,000. We have 15,000 store. We are present in each and every format today. You name it, and we are there. And one of the value, we have one team, and it's not the value. It's the culture in the Reliance, and we work as a one team. I can reach out to anyone and everyone in the organization. So you rightly said that. Though we have values, we put it in the induction, and it's from the day zero. The person join the organization, and they become part of that. So the ownership mindset, and so and so forth, and everybody behaves. So my store manager also behave like a CEO because it's his or her own store, and that's how they work. So that's the
Wonderful.
culture we are trying to build in the organization.
Let me ask this question in the audience. How many of you are owners of the business that you work for? That's very nice. I always like this. फ्रंट रो में एक ने ऐसे किया, फिर दूसरे ने ऐसे किया, फिर बगल में देखा ऐसे किया, बोल रहे सब लोग हाथ उठाना तो मैं भी उठा लेता हूँ. That's actually true. I mean, you don't have to be an owner by being a shareholder of the company. I mean, I like that when you said we are all owners, and I'm sure to get ownership, you need to have a very empowered organization, and you should be empowered to do what Mr. Ambani can do. I'm sure if Rahul can do it, then he is the true owner. Okay, I hope he gets 0.0000001% of the shares. So, wish you all the best. Fingers crossed. Venkat, you have been sitting silent. I know I have been to Puma. I have met your CEO, and I see a wonderful culture that you have. Okay, just share with us either through the purpose or through the values or elements of what makes that ownership, innovative, young, fresh, vibrant culture in Puma.
Sure. So thanks, Nagesh, for that question. I think as far as values are concerned, 4 simple values that Puma has at a global level, which are brave, confident, determined, and joyful. And each of these values is something that we end up living each and every day. Most companies would say that. But a simple thing like, for example, joyful. One of the things that we encourage all our employees, both at an HO as well as at the retail level, is to participate in a lot of activities outside their day-to-day job. So, be it a 6K run, be it a plank challenge, be it doing squats. There are different activities in which we keep going back and trying to engage with employees, all centered around the theme of wellness, of physical wellness, sports, etc. One difference of opinion, Nagesh, which you had mentioned is, at least at PUMA, we have actually listed out our cultural tenets. So there is a set of 6 cultural tenets which we have listed out, which we have sort of spoken about. And it makes life very simple for everyone. At least that's what I believe as an individual, that it makes life very simple for everyone, saying, what is it that we want people in the organization or want employees in the organization to go back and follow? One of the things that I think our MD had also stuck his neck out and said in so many words that, look, this is what PUMA as an organization stands for. This is what we want employees to be doing. If you do not resonate with those cultural tenets, then maybe this is not the best place for you. And I think that being bold enough to come back and say something like that will make sure that the set of employees which are left back in the organization will automatically be a lot more engaged. And having everything from a mission, vision, culture, a set of purpose statements, it's all aimed towards making sure that employees are engaged at the end of the day. So how do we sort of make life easy for everyone? How do we clean up the thought process a little bit, at least at an organization level? And I'm sure each team will have its own set of cultures as well, right? Each manager will try or each function head will try and go back and create his own sort of subculture, which he'll want to try and have for himself and his team. And that's something which is encouraged. So
Tell me, Venkat, when you're hiring people, how do you find on this one of the tenets? So, for example, Parineeta, so she's not looking for a job. We're just creating a mock. Yeah. The mock is she's come for an interview for a senior position. What question will you ask to find out whether she's going to be joyful?
So, joyful, like I said, was the values. Now, as far as how do you portray joyful? How do you portray someone who is going to be?
So, how will you check on her joyfulness during the interview procedure?
Well, easier said than done, and hence I guess that's why we
No,
have.
I just want to check that, because I'm saying what you raised is very, very good. Okay, it's fabulous, because the problem that we have is that some of the values and some of the tenets, like you said, how do you really pick that up when you're inducting a person? Okay, any one of you would not.
Okay,
if I can take
Nagesh,
a-
I would like to add, as a HR professional, another responsibility of each one of us in this room is how do you sustain it? While we do talk about values, and values create, how do you translate values as through set of behaviors, and that behaviors create a culture. Now, as an HR, so definitely there's a culture that has been created because of the values and the behaviors in the organization. So from an HR perspective, how do we sustain it would be at the level of when I'm hiring somebody. So if I'm looking at somebody at a happiness index, or maybe happiness and well-being, I would definitely ask the person, through a behavioral even interview in terms of, what do you do in your spare time? What makes you happy? And those kind of questions would help me evaluate if this person is the right person to be hired or not. Similarly, if I'm promoting somebody within the organization, I would be looking at, what is the kind of behavior the guy is demonstrating. Either that somebody is performing very well and not in line with the behavior. If I promote that person in the organization, I'm sending a wrong signal of the culture that I want to promote in the organization. So
totally agree
these are
with
the
you.
various touch points as HR, and that's why I say in this room, the whole responsibility lies on us, the various touch points, and sustaining this entire thing going forward.
I must share something, today's HR has become very knowledgeable, very qualified. But I must tell you about my story, and this is an interesting story. So when I started Shoppers Stop, I had no clue about retail, no clue about department store, no clue about apparel. And we had to recruit people, okay? I didn't know what questions to ask the sales associate so that we can select. So many people came, how do I select a sales associate? मेरे को किसी ने बताया नहीं था. And that time, Mr. Venkat Ramana was not there, GRV was not there. They were called up and said, बोलो यार क्या question पूछो. So I didn't know what to ask, and there were 2 guys who came. They were the first 2 to meet me. And since I was thinking, these guys were smiling. For almost 10-15 minutes, they kept smiling. After 15 minutes, I thought, I can teach any skill to any individual, but I can't teach them smile. So these are the best guys. I selected them. Okay, and these guys went outside. They got promoted as supervisor. No? They went outside and went and spoke to the receptionist. ये कैसा general manager है? एक भी question नहीं पूछा 20 मिनट तक. So So what you're saying is right. Maybe there is an inherent method of finding out how people express joys and what they do. Fantastic. Tell me, as organizations have moved, I think the age has changed. Now the average age of employees is different. You have a gig worker, somebody wants to work from home, somebody wants to do moonlighting and sunlighting, all this culture. So what happens to all this that we said? You know, the culture tenets, the values, the purpose, all that. I mean, do you relook at it time after time after time? And especially, let's say, Reliance. I mean, you're running at such a fast speed, you can't keep changing your ownership statement. But how do you relook at the values and recast that for the organization, the growing organization?
I think maybe if I could share on this one. When we talk about values and culture, I think for IKEA, one of our values is simplicity. And in a very simple way, say that values is something that each and every one of us has in our family constellation. So it's not something alien that the organizations do. And how do you build a culture? When you're living your values every day. It's behaviors. And every individual experiences values and culture differently. I think as we have been looking at an IKEA, 80 years we've had a purpose and values, but at a time, it's also good to see, is our values serving the purpose? Is it being able to inspire the generation of the workforce that's actually moving the purpose ahead? And from time to time, and I would not say it's 10 years or 15 years, but from time to time as leaders, as HR professionals, you will know, when you live that culture, your heart will know, your gut will know, your head will know that maybe it's time that we need to revitalize it. Because at the end of the day, the values are is it serving the purpose or not? And if not, maybe it's time to refresh it or revitalize it.
I have a question for the other panelists. 95% of the people work on the front end, okay? When I talk to somebody, you're saying, sir, ये values, culture सब ठीक है, 12,000 रुपये तनख्वाह है, घर पे खाना नहीं मिलता है, और बच्चे को स्कूल में एडमिशन दिलाने का है. अभी आप अपना जरा वैल्यू समझाओ मेरे को. So please tell me, all of us have 95% of the people on the front end. How do you translate this whole culture that you're talking of from the head office or your founder's purpose statement into the front end? Because if you are able to translate, that will be the best thing to happen to your customers. Anyone of you want to pick? Lucky, Mukta, please keep taking on the mic.
Yeah. So I'll just, I'll make an attempt, and I'm sure will be supported by my able panelists. I think it has to start with trust. Trust is so core to culture that if your organization is able to build that across levels, ensure that there is communication and over communication. Parineeta said simplicity as a value, right? How do you translate something that the people sat in the boardroom and drew out for a frontline person to understand, and then put trust behind it? Yeah, and how do you empower those colleagues to genuinely feel successful in driving that vision? It's a very soft, fuzzy topic. There is no right answer, there's no wrong answer. I think it has to be done in everyday actions that leaders, people managers demonstrate on the shop floor every single day. But if your heart is at the right place by ensuring that you're talking to people, show them how they can succeed in the business, empower them to do things that drives them closer to the vision, to purpose, whatever name the organization calls it, base it on trust. Because without trust, the culture will disintegrate, in my view.
I love this. But let me give you an example. Last week I was in Delhi. I was sitting at the airport, and I'm giving you a practical example and see what happens. I had chai and 2 cookies worth $275. I love sweets, so I finished the 2 cookies. I was sitting just two meters away. And I asked the associate, saying, I want 1 more cookie. He was carrying a tab. Can you get me? I'm still having my coffee. He says, sir, 1 cookie is 50 rupees. Our system allows only 100 rupee billing. So I said, yeah, 2 meters hai, jaake leke aa jana. He said, it's not possible. Then I said, do one thing, 50 rupees de raha hu. Cook, don't go through the system. 50 rupees leke aa jao na. He says, no sir, if the camera sees I taking money from you, they will catch up. So they went and met the manager. And he said, sir, we would have loved to do it, but these are the rules of the organization. Now look at what happened here. I just want to take further, Mukta. And I'm telling you because this is the biggest challenge of the industry today. The individual was not empowered. He saw a 63. He saw a 63-year-old man Okay, asking for a cookie to be picked from 10 feet, the rule didn't allow, the empathy didn't come into place, and the manager said, and there were 5 of them, and there was no customer there. So please tell me, when you're saying that trust, empowerment, give us an example of how do you make it happen on the floor?
Okay. The moment when you say talk about empowerment or you talk about ownership, the moment you make people accountable for their actions or the roles or responsibility that you've given them, that is the key. Now, how will the accountability come? The way, companies focus on is first is with regards to,
Sorry, I want to
communication.
interrupt.
Yeah.
Here the accountability was, I will not break the rule. If the accountability was, come what may, you will serve your customer.
Exactly,
But the
yes.
question is, this is the difference.
No,
How do you build that saying, come what may, I'll serve the customer versus a rule?
Nagesh, that is again coming from the values. So if the value is customer service, is that the kind of behavior I'm demonstrating as customer service? So that is something that needs to percolate. Not only it comes from definitely from top, but it has to be. It has to percolate to the down to the junior-most level. That customer service comes first. That reminds me of this very beautiful true incident, which is on 26/11. The whole Bombay knows about it. Now this incident happened in Taj, we all know. The core value of Tata's is customer first. Every employee, in the Taj hotel that day were only focused on one thing, which was customer first, and the entire behavior was driven towards it. There was no guidelines given that this is what you do in a business contingency situation. But everybody acted in a similar manner because they were driven by the same behavior or the same value that they were upholding. If this kind of behavior is what we can tell them, there's always a way and a
I
workaround.
just want to come to Venkat. Is there any way you can translate this customer first? Any in your experience at PUMA and otherwise? Venkat, I want to come to you also. Sorry, Rahul. I'm confused. Venkat first and then Rahul, please.
Any which way we have enough Venkats in HR.
Oh yes, but why is
Which is
it?
a very good thing. It's a
Why
very
is
good
it?
thing.
Some gene transfer?
I would like to change my name. I don't know why, but yeah.
Yeah, but I can't even call you Venki because there is a Venki sitting there. Yeah. But this has got to do with the Lord Venkateshwara. Okay, he blesses all the retailers through such people. Am I right? Yeah. HRs are also, the women in HR are also blessed by Lord Venkateshwara. Yeah, yeah. Please go ahead. Yeah.
So if I can actually give another example, and again from the hotel industry.
I want you to tell me from your industry. यार.
Okay, so
कुछ जो किया आपने या कर सकते हो, so that we can relate it.
okay, so if I can actually just change it a little
Yeah,
bit to
yeah,
come back to the point around values and trust.
Yeah.
So in one of my previous organizations, not taking any names, we had a value of integrity, and in any town hall or any celebration, we used to always have these value awards and give it out to people. And integrity was one award that we used to never be able to give an award to anyone. And staff found a purse in the trial room. He's kept it at the cash counter, informed the manager. Manager calls the customer, ma'am, sir, aapka purse is there at the cash counter, please come and collect it. That's doing their job. No one celebrates that. That's a tick mark saying, he had to do it, so what's the big deal? But if a value of integrity is not adhered to, then it's a straight termination process chalu karo, right? He has stolen something from the company, so please start off that process. So I think there's also a need for us to come back and say that, a thing like integrity, why is it that we are not confident enough or not open enough to actually go back and celebrate it? If we are expecting the employee not to do something, when he is actually doing the right thing, let's celebrate that particular employee. And some part of that entire trust on the organization is about how are we able to go back and celebrate it. So if this employee had actually, or the staff who was there at that coffee shop had actually given you the cookie, is there a way for us to actually turn around and say, yeah, you have gone beyond as far as
I
customer
would have
service is
taken his
concerned?
name here and asked all of you to clap for him.
Yeah, and
It didn't happen.
No, and maybe sometimes it's also a question of saying some customer coming back and maybe giving a Google review, for example. The moment you get a Google review, there'll be one WhatsApp message. Everyone is clapping. Everyone is thanking or celebrating the employee.
Nagesh, we had a similar experience in Skechers. I think we'd also, nominate that person for an award. So in Bangalore, we have a store in Bangalore, and there was some road construction going on. And one employee, one of the customers came in, and he said, "My father is 85 years old, and he's going to Dubai, right? So he can't walk because the distance was quite far. Can you guys help me?" So as per the protocol, you're not allowed to take any footwear outside the store. But the store manager said, "No worries, sir, I will take it." So he took he knew his size, he went, took the shoe out, and the customer was so happy that he now has become a regular customer for us. That's something, it's a service given, and it was, again, you're not allowed, but still he did it because customer service was first.
There's also one more challenge. As an industry and as a business, we define success based on a milestone that we have put. So, for example, we say 100% Achievers Award, okay? But what happens is the 99% achiever does not get an award, but the 99% has tried his best. But if you don't give an award, can you at least celebrate the 99% for having reached there? I think that is the big challenge, and that's why most of the issues happen. Before I go to the next, we want to talk to you about saying this whole empowerment. How do you build trust on the front end? You said.
For the front end guy, if you look at it, for him, organization acts at the store manager level. He doesn't look at it who's sitting in the corporate office, the guy, poor guy, assistant store manager or a department manager, or max to max, he sometimes fear to reach out to his store manager also. Again, I'll come back and I'll touch upon what Mukta said, that empowerment. If we empower people, and if as an organization we start celebrating failure, that's enough. That's how you empower people, and you don't shy away from the failure. We are in the business of saving lives, so and we are into regulated industry. Though we would like to do a customer, we can't go across the road and because we need a prescription to dispense the medicine. Still we try that, okay, whatever best we can do, can we help? If somebody is not able to do it, can we help and upload the prescription and quickly reach out and give the medicine? We keep on doing that. And probably because of that, we have presence, omni-channel presence. So if we have to reach out to customer very quickly, we try and do that. If my store doesn't have medicine, we reach out to new commerce business and tell, hey, this is the order, quickly serve the order. If it is not there, we look at the online, which is the closest store, closest DC, and we try and do that. But it is, again, as an organization, the larger perspective, are we looking at it? And at the store level, are we empowering people and celebrating the failure? I think probably if we start doing that, that's...
You can celebrate failures, but my recommendation will be to celebrate trials. Yeah, because if you celebrate trials, you'll get many more trials.
Correct.
If you celebrate failure, only that one person who failed will get recognized, the others may not want to try. Okay, so
absolutely.
Yeah, you can actually start doing trials. Okay, I could go on and go on and go on. Such a wonderful panel and such a wonderful audience, but I've been told that you have to give time for question and answer. So get prepared for questions. We'll be able to take 2 or 3 questions, and I'm going to go for my last question to the panel. Let's come back to the final, the well-being part of it. And Lucky, maybe you would, and one of you can take it on. We talked about the multiple well-beings. Okay, financial well-being, I know we can't do much. We have restrictions on compensation and benefits and things like that. Mental well-being. Okay, people have gone through tremendous stress. Okay, not because of whatever reasons, but the environment created in the last 2 years was very stressful. What can we as an organization or as an industry do to really help them, not to come out of the stress, but support them for themselves to come out of that stress? Is there any thoughts that you all have? 1 or 2 people. Yeah, go ahead. Any one of you.
Go ahead. I think it was...
Fastest finger first. So you picked up. It's your chance.
All right, thank you. And it's such a sensitive topic. I think also 2 years, yes, it's been really tough, but the awareness and for everyone towards well-being really got amplified. From where it was a very hush-hush conversation sometimes to people feeling okay to say, I'm not okay, or I'm not feeling all right. I think one of the initiatives that we did, and it's not that everybody becomes technically specialists, but could we ask each other, are you okay? And then shut up for 2 minutes to let the other person actually say what they are truly feeling. Because what we do is, hey, are you all right? And you will say, yeah, I'm okay. And we just go on. But this was something that we tried, and we realized that sometimes as leaders, as people managers, as HR, you may not need to do anything. Because when I'm working with each one of you, just because my team cares is sometimes supportive enough for me to go through what I'm going through. So that's true. I think that's the movement that I believe needs to be created, that get everybody involved.
So Parineeta, you are there in the head office. The next person is also in the head office. How are you? I was just thinking, do I have for a 2-minute silence? Nahi hai. So we can't do that. No, I just want to remind you of the last 2 years of a situation. When the COVID was hit, most of us, if not all of us, were at our home wanting to get served, okay, by retailers like all of us, whether it is Reliance Mart or D-Mart or Hypercity or whatever. But do you remember that you were behind your closed door, ordering for things to be delivered to your door, with even your parents or husband or wife saying, don't go out, take it from the small window. But there was another person on the other side who also has a wife, who also has a mother, father, but took all the efforts to come to your doorstep and deliver. Yeah? We are talking of a stress situation. So before I go on to question answer, I want to remind you, I know there are some chocolates kept in front of you. Okay, those chocolates are from TRRAIN to say 12th December is Retail Employees Day. Okay, this is the day when we celebrate the heroes of retail and say thank you to them. So don't forget about it. Amisha told me you have to do this 30-second sell, huh? So I'm doing it. So just ensure that you and your company and everybody celebrates. There's a very good news I want to share with you. Last year, thanks to Landmark Group, we celebrated Retail Employees Day in 21 countries because they celebrated in 17 countries. So we celebrated in 21 countries and close to about 25 odd million celebrated. This year, last month, I'm happy to inform you that IGDS, the world's largest body of department stores, which has 45 department stores like the Selfridges, the Prontom, the Nordstrom of the world, has signed an MOU with TRRAIN that they will celebrate this across the world on 12th of December. So 45 chain of department stores around the world in 39 countries. Add the current, I think we will cross 50 countries, inshallah. Let's hope we do it, but let's all go with a full vigor and rigor to make this day happen. Yeah? Any questions?
Nagesh, before we go for a question, I just wanted to add a little.
Please.
We all are HR folks here, you know. What is important right now, or in fact, you know, for any HR, otherwise also, is to touch the hearts of people where they feel comfortable to connect with you.
Somebody was asking here, what is HR's role? I think it was Richa. We were just talking and we said, yeah, dimag chalna chahiye aur dil dhadakna chahiye. That's all, isn't it?
Right. Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can give you a small example. Just last week, one of my employee got a heart attack and he was rushed to the hospital. And on his way, he called me up, asking his wife, Lucky ko phone lagao. And he told me, sorry Lucky, team ko nahi phone kar raha hu, time kam hai. Kuch ho jayega to family ka dekh lena sab kuch. You know, that was a big trust on, like, you know, which I had.
Absolutely.
Or medical ka bhi dekh lena, apna insurance. So, you know, this is something very small. He's a vice president, but imagine at the time when he was rushing to the hospital for his heart, he remembered me first. And of course, he's now better and surviving. So this is how you touch the hearts of people.
Excellent. So I'm going to the question. We'll have 3 questions after this. Keep the question short.
Sure. Yeah. So I want to go back to that point you made about the cookie example. And in so many years of working with, I'm on the HR tech side, so we do policy implementation into the software from whatever the company tells us. And I've never really understood when you have business problems and most policies are responses to business problems or situations. And when you make those policies, you look at how others have solved this problem. You get a template, you copy the template from somewhere in some cases, but you don't go back to your culture. So if you were to face a business problem, instead of instantly saying, let's make this policy, if you were to go and say, what does our culture say how to handle this? You would have policies that would respond to culture and not policies that run contrary to culture. Why is it so hard to do?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll try and attempt on this one. I love your question because this is really challenging the way things have happened in the past. And if it's happened in the past, it doesn't have to happen in the future. For the 99% of the colleagues and the teams who will actually do work, living your values every day, why do we make policies for that 1% that will possibly violate it?
Absolutely.
So I think I invite you, and I'm sure the PNC teams and the HR teams will love it if they don't have to make policies, challenge that. for the 99% that will actually do things day in and day out through the values that you're, bringing to them.
It's strange,
Why
Parineeta,
are we then making
that in
policies
retail,
for
we
1%?
provide in our budget 1% or less than 1% shrinkage. Okay, companies like yours and Walmart, even us, we would be writing off 50 crores, 100 crores, 500 crores towards shrinkage. Okay, but we never say we are okay, 1% policies are violated because 99% will be served. Yeah?
But there's just one more thing I want to add on policies. Policy is not a one-way process. It's also a two-way process. Employee also equally benefits from the policy. So be it at the time of your resignation, all the entitlements. So it's a two-way process.
Policy is nothing but a process that one needs to follow, the employees or the employers, for a particular act. So it is a guiding
I
principle.
must say, Lucky, I have, and all of us here in the family have policies of family. None of our children follow it. Okay, I don't know. I'll talk to you in person. Do your children follow your policy? I mean, they don't. Yeah, you want to? 2 more questions. We'll go behind for the backbenchers if you have questions. Anybody has? Raise your hand.
It's actually not a question. Just want to know your view. What has any spirituality has anything to do with the HR values, or you all see?
To a very great extent. To a very great extent.
It's the foundation of everything we do.
If I can narrate something, because you were talking on the
2
trust.
minutes reh gaya, 2 question hai.
Acha.
Huh?
This
Please
is
ensure
all-
she comes on the panel next time. Yeah, I mean, sorry, somebody
I'll
saying
give you a
something.
small example, and then you decide what a person with spiritual background will do, what a person with non-spiritual background will do. A train is coming, okay? There are 2 tracks. One track is not working, one track is working. There are kids who are supposed to play on the non-functioning track, but they decided to come and play on a track which is working. Now the train is coming, he cannot stop the train because the risk of hundreds of people are at, the life of so many people are at risk. He has to decide to change the track or to continue. There's only one guy who's working on a non-working track. Now there are 6-7 here. What will he do? Should he change the track and go there and kill a person who's doing right, or continue here? This is a question which a spiritual person will think very differently from a... Yes, so it depends upon whether you're going to follow your processes and you want to,
Basically, we kill the person who has done right because it was only one.
Yes, so this is
Safeguard
6 to 7 people. A regular human being would think of saving 6 to 7 people. But you need to have that understanding whether he's right or they are right,
You should also improve the vision of the driver, because what was he doing when it was 6 feet? I mean, 200 feet se dekh raha tha na, brake laga sakta tha yaar.
Okay, let us take an example. So this is an example.
Aur kya? Acha, okay, go ahead please.
I have a simple question. In the current scenario, typically if you talk about value when you enter into an organization, an individual has his own set of values when he enters into an organization, and organization has his own value. But as the individual comes inside the organization, do you believe, and any question anyone can answer, does the value of that individual aligns automatically to the organization and he builds his own or changes his values according to the organization, or vice versa? Most of the time we see that the individual changes because of his job or whatever reasons. Why can't companies also do that? Or why can't organizations think that in the changing scenarios of today and in future, we need to relook our values at certain point of time?
Okay, maybe I'll take your question and I'll just give you a kind of a chain, a chain reaction, and then you will get the response by yourself. So we have a vision statement which is inspiring. Yeah, you have a mission that defines the vision statement, and then comes a strategy in terms of how do we achieve it. And when you have a strategy, the how part of it comes from the values, in terms of what are the values, core values of your organization, which will sustain that growth of that strategy, and you demonstrate those behaviors in the organization. And when you start demonstrating those behaviors, that becomes your culture. So that's the entire, vicious, or I would say a chain reaction that works. Similarly, when I spoke about HR being the reinforcement or somebody who is going to, ensure it happens. So the first check automatically happens at your hiring stage. So are you hiring the right candidate, who will be aligned to your business? Because the moment when you're hiring somebody who's not aligned to your business values, to your culture, the person will not be happy and he'll cause dissonance in the system. So hence it's very important. It's certainly they have to, it's the mutual alignment, both the sides. If there's any kind of, disparity or something, the employee would definitely leave.
So I have the last question coming here. And everybody is saying that you said fastest finger first, and only the women are actually catching up all the questions. So this question has to be answered by one of the men now. Please go ahead.
Yeah, myself Sridhar. I just have a question, and we spoke a lot about culture, about the values. But when it really comes to the stores, which is our front-end employees, that time store SOPs also plays a very crucial part. And when we talk about the culture, values, though, and the empowerment, of course, many times because of the store SOPs, the customer experience gets affected. So how do you really, merge or manage this? Just because of the SOPs I'm talking specifically.
Yeah, it's only the men have to use their fingers. One of you.
We couldn't hear the question.
Okay, he says that when it comes to stores and customers, there are store SOPs and policies. Okay, and therefore you have to follow store SOPs and policies. Now, what happens in situations where you can't follow the policies? What is the guiding force?
So typically it's a question of saying, ask your manager for permission. He will give you a permission on a WhatsApp message or an email, basis which you can go slightly different to whatever is mentioned in the SOP or the policy. But again, I think we come back to that entire point of saying, how do you trust, how do you empower, how do you celebrate any bold step that an individual at the store level has taken. And again, sorry to bring in the PUMA value, but the entire point of being brave, it's about sticking your neck out and saying, I think this is the right thing to do. And the most frequent reason why we are asking employees to take decisions is when someone comes back saying, "Juta phat gaya, please change kar do." And you'll go back, ask for the bill. He won't have the bill. How long did you buy it? I bought it 6 months back. I've been running on it 10 kilometers every day. But juta phat gaya, please change kar do. Right? So at that point of time, someone has to take that decision. Someone has to sort of stick their neck out, be brave enough to either come back saying that, look, I think this is a good enough. There's a good enough reason for me to exchange that particular product, or I think I need to go back and push back on the customer who's walked in and said I need an exchange. And at least when I go back and talk to my store managers, they will always say, हमें बोलते हैं कि हमेशा मना करो, but if there's a customer complaint which comes on either Twitter or Instagram or something, I will straight away get one call saying, immediately exchange, send one bouquet of flowers and one cake as well.
Absolutely right. Let me just, I think I got your point. I just want to share something and then close. It's absolutely right. It's the store manager and the store employees who meet customers 99% of the time. The head office meets customers 1% of the time. Head office knows nothing about what's happening in the front end store. And I think if the policies are, and I must tell you, we created this policy once, I don't know if Venki and others are there, whether that policy still exists. We said anything to do with the customer should not be ever sent to head office. Never sent to head office. It has to be closed at the store because you are calling him store manager, he should be able to take a call on that. I mean, that I think is very, very critical. And there are hundreds of stories I can share of various companies where store managers have taken a decision where CEOs would fear to take such decisions. And that I think is important. So your policy should say, gentlemen, your policy should say, anything that is required by the customer, the last decision making authority is the store manager. So there's no SOP. This is the SOP. I mean, can we create an SOP like that? Yes. I mean, you can create a customer-centric organization. But anyhow, we are short of time. And thank you very much for this wonderful, wonderful thing. And
thank you very much.
Big applause for this fabulous, fabulous, fabulous panel.